Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday, April the 14th. We're happy to have you. Thanks for stopping by here tonight. Now, it's been a pretty slow news cycle relative to the Tennessee Titans. If you're a Tennessee Volunteers fan, then your world has kind of been upended in the last 3 to 4 days. But for the Titans, there is also news at this point regarding this alleged star corner, Sneed, and a news story that was recently reported by Teresa Walker of the Associated Press about some legal trouble that Sneed got into last year whilst being injured. So we are going to get into a couple of different things. We're going to talk about a player that was supposed to help turn this franchise around, turning into a bigger problem than he's worth. And now Chiefs fans writing articles to the effect, Chiefs fan sided accounts like fan blog accounts writing articles to the effect of, could the Chiefs reunite with Sneed? Because he's been I don't want to say such a pain in the ass, because this is really the first pain in the ass moment, but it's just been bad. This entire Sneed experience has been bad, with the way that he was acquired, with the way that he did not pan out as far as playing, and then, of course, this off the field problem that has resulted in some more controversy around a player that does not meaningfully contribute to this team at this point in time. So we're going to talk about Sneed becoming a bigger problem for the Titans than he's worth. We'll also get to Shedeur Watch, some interesting updates there on where the second best quarterback prospect in the draft might end up going. And then we'll see what Bert has cooked up, or in case you missed it at the end of the show. Before we get started, I need you guys to share the broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, wherever you are spending your precious and most valuable time with us. We do appreciate when you share this broadcast around. I'll do it with you on Facebook Live. You can share now to public. It's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you're on Twitter, you can retweet it in the bottom right. And if you're on YouTube or Twitch, please subscribe to the channel and throw a like on the video while you're there. We would be eternally grateful to you. And if you're so inclined, text the link to a friend, because I'm sure they want to air their grievances about Sneed and his off-the-field issues overwhelming his on-the-field performance at this point in time. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the wonderful people at TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMavFitness.com, where your first workout is free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, no workout ever recycled or repeated at TrueMav Fitness. By Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, online at tworiversford.com for more information. By Bart Durham Injury Law, you deserve to be paid, and the experts at bartdurham.com will get you covered. And by Zen Sports, where it's always the best time to wager on your favorite major sports. Get the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs right around the corner, Major League Baseball going on right now. Zen Sports promo code ATOZTN gets you involved in all the action. All right, so with all the messiness that has been Nico Iamaleava and the Tennessee Volunteers, and now that situation, at least for the Vols side of things, has somewhat of a resolution, it really took up a lot of oxygen from this Sneed story. So Teresa Walker of the Associated Press had an article come out. I believe it was Friday afternoon after the radio show. So Friday around 2:30 or 3 o'clock, I saw this article from Teresa about a Texas man suing Titans cornerback Sneed over a December shooting at a car lot. Now, you would say, December, he's in the middle of football season. And yes, he was in the middle of football season. He was also on injured reserve since October, or rather since November at that point in time. So apparently he had some time to kill and he got into a little bit of trouble. This is the reporting from Teresa. The question that I want to ask you guys, though, as I read you the details from this, if you have not read them for yourselves on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, wherever you are hanging out with us tonight, is how do you view the Sneed trade 1 year? We're more than 1 year. We're 1 year and a month. 13 months after Sneed has been traded to the Tennessee Titans. How do you now view Sneed and that acquisition? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. It's your Two Rivers Ford take. It's presented by the South's most trusted Ford dealer, Two Rivers Ford, where they are currently offering you employee pricing on almost every new Ford vehicle on the lot, which means that you pay what they pay. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com today. All right, so here are the details courtesy of Teresa Walker. A Texas man, I'm just going to read you straight from the article. A Texas man who says Titans cornerback L'Jarius Sneed or his personal assistant shot at him while he was sitting inside a Mercedes-Benz on a dealer lot in December is suing the two-time Super Bowl champion for at least $1 million. I'm going to butcher this last name. Christian Nishimana. Forgive me, Christian, but the last name was more than I am capable of pronouncing. But was sitting inside the Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon on December 6th in Carrollton, Texas. Neither he nor anyone else was hit by bullets fired from a Lamborghini Urus. This shows my lack of car culture. Driving past One Legacy Motors. Much of what happened is redacted in the police report obtained by the Associated Press. Sneeze. About had to eat that one. I'm sure I made a pleasant face in the middle of that. Either way, attorney Levi McCatherine said in a statement Friday that Sneed and his accomplice were arrested by the Carrollton Police Department for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after the shooting, but have yet to answer for it. McCatherine also accused Sneed and a woman who identified herself as Sneed's mother of calling and threatening Christian afterward, wanting him to not cooperate with police or retain an attorney. It goes on to say that Sneed did not immediately respond to the AP's emails and messages on a Friday afternoon. A Titans spokesperson responded and said that the team is aware of the matter and have been in contact with NFL security per the league protocol. The civil lawsuit was filed on February the 20th and listed Sneed as defendant John Doe, quote, for an unprovoked attack in cold blood and broad daylight. This is the person who is suing is 23 years old. He owns an exotic car rental business and was researching vehicles for his company. The lawsuit includes a still photo from surveillance video showing an arm reaching out of a sport utility vehicle on the street with what the lawsuit describes as a pistol circled in red. So Titans traded for Sneed last March and made him one of the NFL's highest paid cornerbacks with a new contract. Played the first 5 games. A quad injury landed him on IR. He ended up he got hurt in October against the Colts. He was placed on IR in November, and then this incident allegedly occurred in December. The funniest part of this article is something that I'm going to give to you here in just a second from the from the plaintiff's lawyer, talking about the Tennessee Titans organization, because that's where the real comedy lies. But the question is, how do you view the Sneed trade 1 year later after this whole thing went down? The Crooks process is, I think Sneed didn't want to be here in the first place, but the money was too good. Well, yeah, he wasn't going to get paid by Kansas City, and Tennessee ultimately paid him. I'm sure that he didn't want to leave Kansas City. I'm sure that he would rather be competing at a high level instead of on the worst team in football. And I know for a fact that when he was still in the locker room, that he was somebody who was not shy about expressing his, I don't want to call it outright discontent, but expressing his dissatisfaction with the level of competitiveness of the team. Because, and I'm not going to read exactly what what I was told that he said about things, or, just kind of openly proclaiming things about how they are less than competitive in the locker room without, media in there, obviously. But there's people with the organization who have been dealing with him, and the experience has not been super fluid. Now, Mike Borgonzi, it's worth noting, has talked about L'Jarius Sneed at length and how he was excited for the opportunity to reunite with him after Mike Borgonzi was a big part of the reason that Sneed ended up here in a dealing with Chad Brinker that saw them net Sneed for that 3rd round pick and that, what was it, 7th as well. And on top of giving him that $17.6 million a year contract over the course of 4 years. Aphiosis Buck nonchalantly says had some time to kill. I'm sure the pun was not intended. You don't know that. But I wish that I was that clever. I did not think about it in real time. Jonathan White says he feels about the Sneed trade. Give us our 3rd back. Buyer's remorse. Craig Baxter agrees. Justin on Facebook Live says only the Titans would give up a 3rd and overpay for a guy like Sneed. LOL. Can we catch a break already? I think that the whole situation is, less than favorable, and we'll see what the legal circumstance bears out. Right now, I don't think that it's enough to draw a suspension from the league, though I suppose we reserve the right to adjust that opinion as new information becomes available. But the last time that I talked to Sneed, I was not there the day that he reemerged in the locker room after having that bone marrow injection on his quad. I think I was doing the radio show that day during the media availability, so I was not able to be there when he reemerged in the locker room. The last time that I remember talking to L'Jarius Sneed was the day in the locker room after he got injured against the Indianapolis Colts, which was back in mid-October. So you're going to hear from Sneed here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by Bart Durham Injury Law, because you deserve to be paid, and BartDurham.com is there to support you. If you have been in an automobile incident, whether it's a big truck, a regular vehicle, or any number of different options, or experienced a personal injury and you feel you deserve compensation, BartDurham.com has been serving Tennesseans and Kentuckians for over 75 years in this area, and they will do the same for you. Go to BartDurham.com to check out their free consultation process and also their case results and many different areas of practice that their practice encompasses. So you can go to BartDurham.com, find out more information today, and make sure that you receive the proper compensation that you deserve. So the question is, how do you view the Sneed trade for almost 13 months later? The whole situation with Sneed at this point in time is bad. And the way that I view it is that he's a bigger problem than he's worth to this point. Can he redeem himself this season? Of course, provided that he's available to play. But he's gotten injured, came in with the degenerative knee condition, and now has experienced, at least been caught up in allegations of something that's very serious. Whether or not he is cleared in a court of law remains to be seen, so I suppose we'll reserve judgment. But if it does cost him any level of availability, then it just continues to work to the favor of the argument that this guy's just not been worth it so far.
You've been on some good teams. I mean, what do you tell guys around here struggling at 1-4 to kind of stay in it? And is there a belief that this team?
I was in this position one time when I was with the Chiefs, my rookie year. We know how to fight adversity, and telling the guys that come in, put the work in. It's gonna pay off at the end.
Jarvis was talking about your praises, singing your praises as a leader just a second ago. Can you talk about just the performance he's been able to put alongside you these last two games?
Yes, Jarvis is a great corner. And I think he's one of the best corners on this team right now. And he's showing it week in and week out.
So that is L'Jarius Sneed speaking in the locker room after the Colts game injury. And again, at that point, they had fallen, they had fallen behind pretty woefully, that they were getting ready to head into or had they just come out of their bye week, or were they just heading into their bye week? I think the Colts game was after the bye week. So that would have been around week 6, and that would have fallen within the timeline of the first 5 games of the season that he did play in before he was injured. And then ultimately that quad injury developed from a bruise into a strain. The strain was a huge problem. It ended up being much more complicated than they had initially anticipated. And Sneed never really played out in a way that was satisfactory to Titans fans. Again, so those 5 games that he participated in, Chicago, the Jets, Green Bay, Miami, and Indianapolis, and then that was it for the L'Jarius Sneed experience. The first 5 games of the season, that was after the bye. They had a week 5 bye, played in week 6, then never again for the rest of the season. He finished the season with one of his worst, it is his worst career year to date, because it's as few of games as he's played in his career, appearing in it's the fewest snaps that he's played. It's the worst grade that he's gotten in terms of Pro Football Focus. It's his worst coverage grade, his worst tackling grade, his worst run defense grade, and just his worst grade as a defender overall by a pretty substantial margin. He only played 301 snaps last year, and his salary is going to go up. His cap hit is going to go up in 2025. But for the Sneed situation, both on the field and off, there's still time for his, as Cordy Jackson says, he's holding the line on 38, and that's fine. You're entitled to do so. It's been a rocky start, so one could hardly be blamed for looking around and being like, this is brutal with the way that it's played out. But this season plus 2 more is what he's under contract for. So there is still time for him to acquit himself as being worth what they gave up for him and what they are currently paying him. But to date, that's just simply not been the case. Justin Westerfield says, can the Titans get money back for this? Again, depending on his availability. I mean, if he's suspended, then he won't make game checks. So I think that there are a couple of different ways, but meaningful money, no. Like it's a sunk cost. They paid the guaranteed money out. And if I can pull up the specific details of his deal to figure out how many years carry dead money on that, or excuse me, carry guaranteed money on that contract for Shedeur Sanders, who signed that 4-year, $76.4 million deal. So he's got, they gave out 44 guaranteed at signing, right? And he had 51.5 total in guarantees. So he's a sunk cost one way or the other, and they can get out from under the deal after this season, and that would make a ton of sense based on how things are trending at this point in time, given that his cap hit is 22.5 this year. Whoa, God, 22.5. He is occupying over 8% of the Titans cap in 2025, but you're not getting a refund at this point. He is not like I said, that guaranteed money at signing is a sunk cost. There are still some guarantees left on his deal that potentially you could stand to recoup, but not the bulk of the money that you've paid out. That cap hit went from 9.5 last year to 22.5, and then in the next 2 years it's 20.05 and 20.45, at which time he will be 30 years old in 2027 and an unrestricted free agent in 2028. So that is just so difficult to stomach after you've seen both the lack of on-field production and the off-field issue that he is now entangled in. Whether or not it ends up being meaningful remains to be seen, but there is no question right now that the Sneed trade right now on April the 14th, 2025 has been an unmitigated failure. And, I think that he's properly motivated. I think that he has gotten to this point in his career for a reason. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion for a reason. Like, Shedeur Sanders just didn't just stop caring about football or being capable of playing high-level football after he got traded from the Titans to the Chiefs or from the Chiefs to the Titans. But it's a really, really difficult circumstance for both sides to navigate because the optics are terrible, and the only thing to do is to be available. And for a player whose availability is something that has to be very, very much managed, really difficult. Caleb Gray says, so what you're saying is we should hope the NFL suspends him so the Titans can just get out of this contract. I mean, that's not getting them out of the contract if he gets suspended. Like, again, there are ways to recoup money, but they can't get out of the contract this year just because he gets suspended. That's they can cut him at the end of the year and get out of the contract, but that does not, like, if he got suspended ahead of the season, that wouldn't not count against their cap. There would be some money that, again, that they would not have to pay out. But you guys have already you're already the part about being on the hook for the contract. It's done. Like, the $44 million guaranteed at signing. I know it's not the full freight 76.4 or whatever, but that's up to 76.4. That's if he hits all the different incentives, all the different kind of bonuses, roster bonuses, Pro Bowl bonuses, whatever the language in his contract says. But you've already paid, like, you've already spent the money. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you're getting out of anything at this point in time. When you gave that man $44 million at signing, that's the contract. Even if 76.4 is what the total valuation, up to 76.4 is ultimately what the contract will be. Benjamin Buck says, so something actually happened. Why no police report? There is a police report. Teresa is reporting in the Associated Press, says that it is heavily redacted because she was able to find the police report. Quote, much of what happened is redacted in the police report obtained by the Associated Press. So there's very little information that, again, is publicly available. Why there are redactions to that effect is not a question that I can answer. But there is a police report. There was an incident. He is involved in this, and he is being alleged to have opened fire on another human being. Whether or not there was something that happened that provoked that response is not available currently in the reporting that is out there to be had. So that's the situation with L'Jarius Sneed, and it is an unpleasant one. And I'm sure that the next time that we speak with Brian Callahan and Mike Borgonzi, I almost said Rand Carthon and then Mike Vrabel, and then I finally got to Mike Borgonzi. Your team keeps firing too many people, and I'm getting older, and my brain's not working as well, so I'm having trouble keeping track. It's like a merry-go-round around here. It's a problem. They need him to play. I would still draft a corner. They cut Chido Awuzie. They have Jarvis Brownlee. Roger McCreary is in a contract here. I would draft a cornerback this year because if I'm them, I can't get out. I mean, the best thing that you can do is just ride out the Sneed situation and hope that he gives you a good season and that you can part ways at the end of it at this point in time. Herschel Nichols says, I thought the report said his assistant shot at the victim. No, it is being alleged. So again, I will read from you directly the reporting. A Texas man who says Titans cornerback L'Jarius Sneed or his personal assistant shot at him while he was sitting inside a Mercedes-Benz on a dealer lot in December is suing the two-time Super Bowl champion for at least $1 million. So the lawsuit is saying that it was either Sneed or his personal assistant that shot at this Christian individual while he was sitting in a car on the lot. So why, I guess as the legal process plays out, there will be a determination as to who was actually firing the vehicle and if they had intent. I suppose the intent is the most important thing to figure out because right now the information that's available makes it sound like it's unprovoked, which would just be bizarre. Somebody said he hates Mercedes or something. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his hatred for Mercedes is, but the reporting right now, again, Sneed or his personal assistant shot at this Christian individual while he was sitting in a car on a lot. Anyway, so we will return to that if more information becomes available, but more information has become available on Shedeur Sanders as we try and figure out where the second best quarterback prospect in the draft class is going to end up. The question is, who is the betting favorite to land Shedeur Sanders right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch? We will discuss at length together right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action. You can be a Zen Sports VIP. When you plug in that promo code, you can get up to $100 on your no danger first wager, no matter what your favorite major sport. Zen Sports is there to make betting even better. Go to zensports.com, promo code ATOZTN. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet at Zen Sports. All right, so who's the betting favorite to land Shedeur Sanders at this point? Randy Howard says, my money is on the Saints. I think that there are a couple of different things. I would be curious to see if Vegas didn't do that. John Bertotti agrees with New Orleans. Ann Hernan says the Giants are now hosting a private session with him, allegedly. Lewis says the Indianapolis Colts, to answer the second question. The Colts are a fascinating team in this draft. I assume that they're just going to ride it out with Richardson and Daniel Jones, but there's no guarantee. And if I was Shane Steichen, I don't know that I would want to tie my future to either of those players. But the reporting out of New Orleans is that Derek Carr may have to have a shoulder surgery that could cost him substantial time, if not the entire 2025 season. New Orleans currently sits with the 9th overall pick in the NFL draft, so that would keep Shedeur from falling out of the top 10, and it would make a lot of sense for New Orleans. The question is he worth it? One, and two, how desperate is New Orleans right now under first-year head coach Kellen Moore?
One thing that he said that I thought was interesting, and I want to move on from him a little bit, but you have so much to talk about in so little time. He did say, and he used the words slowly fading away. I was trying to compare, Deion to Tomlin a little bit. He said that he's slowly fading away from Deion. He hadn't even talked to him that day. I was like, what'd your dad say? Did he ask you questions? What do you think of that regarding him sort of like leaving the nest?
I mean, he's going to need to, because I think Dion is such a he's such a large presence. You know, he commands the room, the space, the narrative at all times. Partly because he demands it, and partly just because people are interested in him. Um, it is time for Shedeur to go and branch off and be his own, but he has been his own, and I've been closer to this than most, being a Colorado alum, and I
course.
was involved in the hiring process, and I know intimately how bad Colorado was before they got there, and as crucial as it was to get Dion there, I think the key to their turnaround and success the last 2 years wasn't technically Dion, it was Shedeur. And this is what I think is lost because everyone gravitates to kind of the giant gravitational pull of Deion Sanders and Coach Prime. Is like Shedeur was actually the key. It wasn't Travis, and it wasn't Coach, it was Shedeur. Why did they turn around to a 9-win team and a top 25 team 2 years after being a 1-win team that lost by an average of almost 30 points? Shedeur Sanders. So that gets lost a little bit. And what I hope that he takes from his dad, all of his time with his dad throughout his life. Do you remember the answer Dion gave in a press conference? And he said something along the lines of, and forgive me because I'm probably going to butcher it, but he said something along the lines of, what about me makes you think that I care about what you think about me?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's exactly what a quarterback needs to have, you know, in the NFL, and in particular Shedeur, who I think is going to draw the ire of some just because of his last name.
That's Joe Klatt of Fox Sports and former Colorado quarterback Joe Klatt speaking on the Shedeur Sanders effect. So 6 to me in Vegas makes sense, even though Geno got a 2-year extension. Vegas has a lot of other needs, though, and they're trying to be competitive right now under 73-year-old Pete Carroll. Whether or not that ends up being a smart play, we will see. But that is the direction that they seem to be heading in. I think that he makes a lot of sense in Vegas. They may feel that he is not worth the 6th overall draft pick. So then New Orleans becomes the obvious answer. And they are currently the betting favorite to land Shedeur Sanders. But I think that there might even be a preference for Jackson Dart there, which is so curious to see. And not anything like, there's not anything that is clear and obvious about what the Saints are going to do right now, but there is a conversation to be had about, is Dart, depending on the team, actually a better prospect for one of these teams? Shedeur is an accomplished college football player, and I acknowledge everything that Joe Klatt is saying there. And while I don't think that he's quote unquote battle tested to the same extent that Cam Ward is, I do think that Shedeur has elevated his game every place that he's been and every year that he's been in college football. The question is, was it good enough? Certainly, was it good enough to be worthy of a top 10 draft pick? Or, I mean, was it worthy of even being a first round draft pick? In a different year, it may not be. Jack says any talk of Dart over Sanders is a smokescreen. Maybe. But, you know, there was nothing around Michael Penix and Atlanta at 8th overall. There was nothing about Bo Nix and the Broncos at number 12 overall last year. I fully expect that 4 quarterbacks are going to go in the first round of this draft. Jalen Milroe is going to be in attendance in Green Bay. I do not believe that Milroe would be attending the draft if he didn't think that he had a really, really good chance to go in the first round. So Jackson Dart, in no particular order, obviously, Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, and Jalen Milroe. Where the chips fall for those 4, I mean, we know the one. We think we know the one. We better know the one, right? But for the other 3, I think it's all up for grabs, and I think it really depends on the team. I think Shedeur, it would probably be beneficial for Shedeur to fall further than 9, past the Saints. It just depends on what Kellen Moore feels about the current state of his roster if Derek Carr is not available, and it sounds like Derek Carr is probably going to be some level of unavailable. Sean Gill says Levis thought the same thing when he went to the draft. Yeah, but Sean, you tried to make him a first-round pick. That's the thing. Like, he would have been right had Minnesota said yes to that trade. he ultimately fell out of the first round and then went with the second pick of the second round in 2023. But the Titans tried to trade up with the Vikings in the first round in 2023. They just couldn't get the deal done. So he very well would have been a first round pick, which would have made this even a bigger disaster. So, the powers that be, or that were at the time, when they were thinking about drafting Will Levis and then did trade up for him, but tried to trade up further for him, we would have been having a much different conversation had Will Levis. You are lucky that Minnesota said no. That Minnesota said no to that deal, because then you would have busted out on a first round pick instead of kind of throwing a flyer with a high second on a quarterback who does have traits, but the traits aren't skill, and he's not a good player at this point in his career. Now, Levis could be a factor for one of these teams that needs a quarterback situation. If we get through the draft and the chips didn't fall where all of these teams wanted them to fall, and they need to make a move at quarterback or add a quarterback, then that drums up the market for Levis. He could be traded in the draft, depending on how this situation plays itself out. Benjamin Buck says, can you imagine if Levis was a first-round pick? Hell yes, because I know that they tried to do it. So yes, I could imagine what that would look like. And I still don't think that it wouldn't matter where you drafted him if he still had the season that he did last year. It was a catastrophe either way. AC says we should trade him to Minnesota to show our appreciation. No, the only thing Minnesota wants off your roster is Jeff Simmons, and that is an interest that they had at the deadline last year that Tennessee was not willing to open discussions on or further discussions on. Could that happen this year? I have no earthly idea. We'll see where the Titans are at the trade deadline before we start talking about things like that. All right, speaking of things that we're going to talk about, let's see what Bert has for us. With In Case You Missed It, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the wonderful people at True Math Fitness in the Gulch. It's time to get your gym grind on and to accomplish your fitness goals. And True Math Fitness is there to help you achieve those goals, whether it's group fitness classes, personal training, or the opportunity to just work out as you please in their awesome facility, conveniently located in downtown Nashville in the Gulch. TrueMathFitness.com. Your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. All right, Bert.
What's going on, big dog?
Nothing but sunburns and
I was gonna
car shootings, and you look very pasty for having been
a little pink. We're working on it.
There is color that is not the typical color that one associates with being, or at least that I associate with being in the sun for as many hours as you were out there today. But we had a great time at the Governor's Club, and we appreciate them having us.
Appreciate the people at Fund Recovery, Pella Windows for making it possible for us to be out there. A lot of fun out there. A lot of free food. A lot of good golfing going on. But said a lot of $2 pistols, if you know what I mean. But Cheyenne's doing the laundry right now, and I didn't want her to be like, what do you mean?
Literally yelled it into a microphone the first segment that we went on the air.
I love that you think she listens to the radio show. I love that you think.
Else does.
Speaking of entertainment during sports, there was a pretty funny clip I saw about during the anthem, they had a parachute fall in that made me think, what is the best in-game entertainment in sports? But before we do that, I want to talk about a great sponsor, Bobby Walsh Lawn Care. If you're in the Winston-Salem, Clemens area of North Carolina and would like to have your yard mowed, my dad will do it. Just get in contact with me, and he will go out there, weed eat, mow, blow, tree work, get rid of any trash. My dad asked me to do this. So if anybody out there needs their yard mowed in Winston-Salem, let me know.
We got a lot of listeners. Leo is yelling in the background. Apparently, he's saying that we need.
I'm not shirtless. Damn
the grass cut.
I
I suppose you have to do the bit.
It's in my contract. Hopefully the sponsors aren't mad. Okay. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, this clip. Watch this dude eat it on the way in. Thank you for your service. Woo! Yaga! He's okay. American flag being oh, another one! Not another one! Oh, no, I didn't even watch this far! I only watched the first 5. I thought it was just 1.
I don't know, man. I think both these guys are hurt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they both came down pretty hard.
Official press release from the town of Burt says, looking it up right here, both of the people were fine and nobody was hurt or injured.
I'm pretty sure I just saw 2 people break their legs in real time.
That was terrifying. And one reason why I will never, I am committed to the bit. I am in on the joke, but I will never, for any circumstance, jump out of a plane ever. You could never convince me. You could never convince me to do that.
Would it surprise you to know that the Army Golden Knights asked me to do this a couple of years ago? And I would have said yes, but it just happened. I had a conflict on the weekend, the only weekend that they could make the jump. And they ended up taking Cortland Finnegan out there instead, which is a way cooler get than me.
Oh, I remember that. They did an article in the Tennessean about Cortland Finnegan gets in a fight with a cloud. I remember that. Take your helmet off. He took his helmet off and the cloud whipped the hell out of him. Like, come on, dude. What are you doing? Leave your helmet on, you goober. Come on. I got to go with Red Panda when we're talking about
by a mile. Red Panda is my goat. Actually, I saw, was it at an Indiana game that I went to at the combine? I think it was. They had, so it's a woman and 3 dogs and a jump rope, okay? Or a set of jump ropes. The woman is holding jump ropes in both hands and she's twirling them simultaneously. One of the dogs is jumping both jump ropes, and the other 2 dogs are each individually holding a jump rope and going along. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Coolest thing. The height of athleticism. I'm telling you, Bert, I had gotten up to go and get something from the concessions or maybe go to the bathroom or whatever when I was at that Indiana game during the combine. And I came back to discover that I had missed that show and I had to watch it on my phone. And I was furious with myself. Furious.
See, I am all about that because, one, there's no union for pets. That you don't have to pay them anything. Here's a milk bone, buddy. Have fun with that. That's a good part. But the other big thing about animals is you never know what they're gonna do. You never know how they're gonna trick you.
Yeah.
How they could take advantage of you. So
I'm
you always
got
gotta
one over here as we speak.
Oh yeah, pick that thing up there. Throw him in there.
The old boy.
I don't even remember what the other point I was gonna make about the damn animals was, but hell yeah, I'm all about free labor. Bring them daggum animals down here. I'll teach dogs to do backflips, teach cats to swim, whatever somebody's willing to pay a nickel to see. That's what I'm doing. Let's see that cat.
He's not being cooperative. You're just chirping at me. You want to make your debut? I don't think you've been on camera in a while. Look at him. No, he's not.
Which one is it?
It's Leo.
Oh, that's my favorite.
No, it's not.
I love Leo.
Why?
Moon is not my favorite. Y'all think that Moon doesn't, I about cuss. Moon does not like me.
I wonder why. You're running through my home like a shirtless troll. Benjamin says, "What happened to Moonbeam?" I don't know where Mooney is. She's probably in here somewhere. But
oh yeah, Mooney's around. She's usually hiding.
Yeah. Well, not when I'm here. Leo boy, you don't want to be on camera? We're just prolonging the broadcast.
Yeah, come on. What are we doing?
You have something to say? No. All right. Very good.
I will say, anytime Red Panda's up, I cheer for her to crash. I want to see the plates. Well, it's a basketball game. Imagine this. Red.
No, we're not going to imagine anything. I will not hear this Red Panda slander. I will not tolerate it. I will not.
Porcelain all over.
How'd you get back in here? How'd you get back in here?
Porcelain all over in players' knees. They dive for a bump.
No, you're. He's figured out how to break back in once we've kicked him out. It's
help.
What happened to the last 10 minutes of this show? This is what we get for going for 40 minutes. We try to keep it between 25 and 35 minutes just so we don't have time to get as weird as we typically get around here. Leo, last chance. Going once? Yeah, he told me to kick rocks. All right. Have a great rest of your evening. 10 to 1 on the radio show tomorrow. We'll see you on 104.5 The Zone. Come hang out with me, Bert, and Lucas.
Acapella. Here we go. What's my name again? Jonathan Davis.
Can you introduce me as if I was like at
on
Bonnaroo?
Saturday Night Live?
Yeah. Like it's Saturday
No,
Night
it's
Live.
Bonnaroo week. Let's do it like he's the headliner. He's headlining Saturday night at Bonnaroo.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Davis.
Sometimes I cannot take this place. Sometimes it's my life I can taste. Sometimes